And welcome to the weekly Industry 4.0 community podcast by 4.0 Solutions. I am your host this week, Walker D. Reynolds, for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. This is a pre-recorded podcast. This will probably be one of the last pre-recorded podcasts for a while. I'm traveling to the Shaw Classic, so a couple of announcements. It's good to be back. I want to give a big thanks to Kevin Jones and Dave Schultz and the gang, everybody who sat in on that UNS discussion, which was our podcast for the last couple of weeks. I thought it was a very, very interesting discussion. I truly enjoyed it. I hope the audience did too. I've been a couple of things. In the interest of full transparency, I operate under full transparency all the time. Basically everything in my life. So the interest in full transparency, I was on sabbatical for June and July to finish rewrites for my book, Adversity and Success. Good news, I did finish those rewrites, although there is another chapter I'm going to add in that has to do with overcoming divorce. There's some people who may or may not know, but I've been going through a divorce since last September 2021, and my divorce should be totally finalized here in October coming up. And anyway, I'm going to be adding a chapter in there about divorce and, making the most of those situations and where focus should be. And I've spent a lot of time over the last probably 2 years, reading updated scholarship on relationships and that kind of stuff. And it's given me a different perspective. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be adding a chapter in the book about relationships, how to make the most out of them, how to overcome breakups, that kind of thing. So, but all the other rewrites are done. The book is really focused on overcoming adversity with it's about 50-50 on personal adversity and business adversity. But I appreciate everyone's patience while I've been gone. You guys may or may not know that we've developed a product. Really, it's kind of impressive that we're able to do this in just about 6 months. But we've built a vision system for weightlifters. My kids are really big into powerlifting, and so I started powerlifting with my kids last year. As a way of I try to make my kids' interest my interest instead of the other way around, so that way we have meaningful relationships. But anyway, we've been powerlifting for about a year. I think my kids actually started in July of last year, and I started once I figured out they were serious. Maybe I started about 6 weeks later. And as an engineer, I lifted weights for a very long time, and I read Arnold's book on bodybuilding. I've read tons and tons of books on strength training and stuff, and I've always taken the approach that bodybuilders and stuff have, the scientific approach, tracking every single rep, every single set, all that stuff. But it's just like in manufacturing, right? The prevailing thought in strength training was manual, not digital, right? Carry a notebook around with you, build a spreadsheet, plot gains over time, weight over time, all that kind of stuff. And we had this idea, well, why don't we just use the technology we use in manufacturing for weightlifting, right? And the idea really came from a tier 1 automotive supplier. So there's, one of the top automotive manufacturers in the world developed this, I think in conjunction with someone else. They developed a vision system that was doing two things. It was measuring ergonomics of an operator who was putting car doors on a car, to try and reduce the rates of injury. And they were doing it for quality control. So is the door being installed correctly? And the technology that they developed, they used a lot of off-the-shelf stuff when we looked at it. Some stuff from Facebook, some stuff from Google. And we're like, why don't we just use that same technology and let's develop something that you can use in a gym? Like, what would be the perfect scenario in a gym, right? So I was talking about this in our morning huddle at 4.0 Solutions the other day, and I was saying there are three types of people in a gym, but I was using it as a metaphor for the type of people you see at work or whatever. I said the three types of people you see in the gym are the first person is the person who goes in the gym, expects to see results on day one, either, doesn't really know what they're doing. They sort of just look what other people are doing. They walk around, they hit one or two machines and they leave. And maybe they're really sore the next day, or they get hurt and they just stop coming back, or they come for 3 or 4 days and then they don't come because they don't see any improvement. That's person number one. Those people you generally never see ever again, or maybe you see them once every New Year's. Like, one of the jokes that we make is that while I only started lifting seriously a year ago, I've been in the gym, most of my life. I mean, I lifted weights for about 15 years, seriously lifting weights and really focused on my strength and stuff. And then I didn't do that for about 10 years. So I started again last year, just about a year ago now. And the reason why was because I was getting all my companies off the ground, working 120 hours a week. And, I made all the excuses, I don't have time for the gym and all that kind of stuff. And, I got pretty big. I was still a strong guy, but I was a big dude. I mean, about a year ago, I weighed, I don't know, mid to upper twos. I mean, I'm 50 pounds lighter today than I was a year ago. And 4 times as strong. And me and my sons, relative to other people you see in our gym, are much stronger pound for pound than the average person in our gym. We have some legit weightlifters. We move a lot more weight than we look like we can move. And the way we've achieved that is through data analysis. But you've got these 3 types of people. You got that person who gets in the gym, sort of wanders around, gets hurt, doesn't see the results, they never come back. The second person is the person you see all the time, but they have no plan. They have discipline. They know that the results come over time, but they don't really have a plan. They sort of set into a routine. They don't ever write anything down. They kind of know what they're going to do that day when they get to the gym, but they may just do what they feel like doing, right? I may hit the bench. I may hit shoulders. I may just walk on the treadmill, whatever it is. There's no real plan, right? And they don't have a measurement for success. So when they get in, they don't have a goal in mind. They're not measuring against that goal. And then the third person is the scientifically driven person. It's the person who tracks every single rep, every single set. They're tracking growth, every calorie, every gram of protein, every macro. They're taking a scientific approach, and they're anticipating what their gains are going to be each day when they're going in. Based on my analysis of the data, I should be able to hit this or hit that, right? So what we said was, how can we use the technology that we've developed and that we help manufacturers develop and use it in like a commercial endeavor like weightlifting? And we said, what would be the ideal situation? And the answer would be, well, let's make all types of lifters data-driven lifters. So that would be the first goal. Let's make all lifters, all strength athletes, data-driven. So let's take the personality piece out. Number 2, let's make it zero contact. So they don't have to do anything special. Just pick the right gym, right? And then number 3, notify them of problems, strengths, and weaknesses. And so that's the approach we took, right? So we developed this vision system using an NVIDIA GPU, just a small Sony camera sensor. It's all in prototype. It's minimum viable product right now. For a serious lifter, it would be minimum viable product now, not for like the average lifter. But the original idea right now, we use our unit, which is I think it's 8 inches by 2.5 inches by 4 inches, and we set it up on a tripod, and we track only 3 movements right now. So bench press, deadlift, and squat. And what we've done is we've trained machine learning models using past examples of people doing those movements. So basically, we just trolled the internet for videos, and that trolling the internet, we scraped the internet for videos of people doing these lifts. A couple of things we needed. We need to be able to see the full bar, right? There were some parameters to the videos. And then we needed to know whether that was a successful lift or not, did they get hurt, right? And so then we trained the model off those videos. And then when you're lifting, we basically using, the front end is actually a Jupyter notebook. When you're lifting, what we're doing is we're setting up a bunch of measurements. We're measuring force. We're predicting force. We're predicting the actual weight that's on the bar. We are mapping hand placement. So we're drawing vectors and saying where our hands positioned correctly, is the ergonomics. We draw lines between the center points of the joints for ergonomics. And then what we're doing is during the movement, one of the things we do is we predict that the movement started, that, hey, I'm doing a deadlift right now. And then we're comparing that movement to the past, basically. That's what the model's doing. And we're predicting whether you're going to successfully lift that all throughout the lift. So the prediction gets more and more accurate. And then the likelihood that you're going to get hurt. We reached out to Brian Shaw, who's, one of the most famous data-driven strength athletes in the world. He's actually known as like a nerd. And we reached out to him about sponsoring his strongman competition in August, which is this weekend, actually. So we've been working with them for 7 months while we developed alpha and then beta and then minimum viable product. And I'm leaving this afternoon. So me and our whole team, we're going to be documenting the entire journey. We're going to be doing a bunch of video at 24 Hour Fitness, I think in Fort Collins, Colorado. And we'll be at the show this weekend. So we're sponsors of the deadlift in this competition, and we're going to be collecting data off these athletes, and we'll be running our system and really testing it in a live competition environment. It was funny, Vicente, who was our documentary guy, he asked me, hey, what's a win this weekend? Like, what our goal? My goal was, well, we want to collect good data off these athletes, right? Number one. There are some limitations to the unit, and we're trying to decide, do we upgrade the GPU, that kind of thing. I'm sure we're trying to keep hardware costs down. So right now we have trouble plotting the data on top of the live image. We can either have the live image stream, or we can capture the data. But when we try to plot both, we don't have enough CPU to do it at the same time. So we can do it on playback, but not when it's live. And so there are obviously some optimizations that we have to do. But he was asking me what was a win, and I said, if we collect good data and we meet the athletes and we figure out whether athletes would think this was cool or not, or if companies like Rogue Fitness would think it's cool. The long-term vision would be gyms like 24 Hour Fitness would leverage the cameras that they already have, the camera systems they already have in their facilities, to use facial recognition to recognize you when you walk in the gym, and then basically track your workouts while you're going through the gym. And then through an app, you would be able to analyze your workouts. How many of the sets that I did I get within 2 reps of failure? Was that a good score, that workout, on a score of 0 to 100? I mean, the possibilities are endless, and could transform the health of Americans and everyone else all across the world. So And if this technology is developed in the United States, then obviously it creates middle-class jobs. So anyway, that's what we've been doing. It's one of the cool things we've been doing. And, I'm like super excited to debut this technology, on the big stage. So anyway, if you guys got any questions about that, please drop them down in the chat below. I do have a couple of questions for you guys, but we're going to be sending a bunch of people to ICC next month in Folsom. Hope to see you guys there. Monthly mentorship call is the next one is this Friday. I'm going to be doing the mentorship call from Loveland, Colorado. So from the Shaw Classic, and we'll have more information on the topic. Sorry, I opened my can and it clipped out. We'll have more information on the topic tomorrow. Mastermind's next Friday. And then by now, you guys should have all heard about the MES Bootcamp. I want to answer a couple of questions. I think the FAQ video went up last night or something. But I just want to answer a couple of questions on MES Bootcamp. So the MES Bootcamp is a program that we're doing that starts next month. I think early bird and all that stuff's going on right now. If you're in the mastermind program, MES Bootcamp's included in your curriculum. Okay. The reason why we're opening it up to other people is because this is a valuable tool to anyone who does digital transformation. In MES Bootcamp, we're going to teach you how to build a core MES system without using MES modules for many reasons. Okay. So let's start with, why would I want to build a core MES system without buying, like, say, FactoryTalk MES or Sepasoft's modules from Inductive Automation? All right, here's the answer. Little known fact about manufacturing execution. Whenever you try to buy MES off the shelf, what you are in effect doing is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I describe manufacturing execution systems as a quilt. Really what it is it's an interface layer that has its unique functionalities, but it's an interface. It is the transposing, it's the intersection of ERP, which is the center of the universe on the IT side, with your supervisor control, data acquisition, and your paper manufacturing execution on the plant floor. It's where the conversion of a sales order into a work order to the execution of manufacturing takes place. As such, it is a reflection of your unique business. Okay, so there are some things about MES, which we call the core capabilities, that are applied universally, but even the universal applications are different, right? So for example, let's talk about scheduling work orders as a component of manufacturing execution systems. They are not universal, okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, the schedule can be many types of schedules, okay? I could have, we may run to a very, very tight, specific schedule that has no changeovers, okay? So I may have production lines that only run one product, one subassembly, one finished good, whatever. I may have production lines that run many products. That is, I may have to change from product A to a changeover so that I can run product B on that line. I also have production lines that can run both product A and product B at the exact same time in any different order. Okay. Buying off the shelf scheduling or work order management is generally built for linear scheduling. That is, I'm scheduling to run product A between this time and this time. I'm scheduling a changeover between the end of product A and the beginning of product B, and then I'm scheduling to run product B from B to, start to end. That's generally how schedulers are designed. It's not that there aren't schedulers out there, scheduling functionalities that's out there that allows you to run A, B at the same time. There are those schedulers. You also have manufacturing execution systems that don't have a preset schedule. The schedule is created by the operator. The operator makes the decision as to what's being run, not the planner. The operator is the one who is, looking at what raw materials are available, which raw materials are already at my machine, and then making a decision. And when they start the work order, what in effect what I've done is I've scheduled that work order at the exact same time I started it. The point is that manufacturing execution capabilities, they end up being a quilt. If I take of the 100+ different types of capabilities that are in the manufacturing execution layer, I'm picking and choosing only the ones that apply to my business. And then I'm patching together a quilt that becomes my manufacturing execution system. Okay. So the first part is that manufacturing execution, if you're going to try and buy off the shelf, you are going to be limited by the limitations of the thing you buy off the shelf. Now, that's always true in any product. The problem is that MES is much more a representation of your reality than a definition of what your reality should be. Okay, so let me say that again. A manufacturing execution system is much more a reflection of the reality of your operation on the plant floor, as it is a definition of what that reality should be. Okay, and that's one of the big reasons that you'll see so many people who get into manufacturing execution. They start by learning a platform off the shelf. So like, hey, I'm a Traxxas MES guy, or I'm a Sepasoft MES guy. But if you look at the people who have the most experience with manufacturing execution, they are much more likely to be building than buying later in their career. Okay. Number two, if you're an integrator, if you're someone who's going to be doing manufacturing execution over and over and over again, it behooves you to build a quote unquote starter kit or a starting point for clients. If you're the client, you're much better off having a template or a starter kit for each of your facilities or each of your production lines than you are starting from scratch with your blank platform or your blank MES solution on each production line. And then last but not least, we have discovered, we do education, and we started out by educating our own engineers, and then we started educating the rest of the world. And what we have discovered is that the process of going through building MES, core MES yourself, is an invaluable step in developing your overall digital transformation skills. So the MES Bootcamp has been a highly requested series, which we start in September. It's going to go for 5 sessions of about 4 hours, 4 to 4.5 hours. So it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 24 total hours of development. We are going to teach you how to build a core MES system using SQL, Python, and the Ignition IIoT platform. I'm going to be doing the development on the screen, and you guys are going to be following along. And you'll be doing the development at the same time if you want to. The goal here is to teach you how to build core capabilities, okay, how to collect events from machines and then calculate OEE or plot downtime over time or top 5 downtime reasons, how to build the front end, how to build the back end, how to build the API. So that's the goal, and that's what we're going to be doing. I think early birds still going on, but you can go to iiot.university/MES-bootcamp to learn more about it. We did an FAQ where I explained, like, hey, here's what your skill set should be. If you're this type of developer, you're going to be okay. If you're this type of developer, you're going to be okay. But I think that FAQ dropped last night. All right, let's get into the questions here. Now, the bulk of this podcast is going to be centered around this comment here, and I think it'll be really valuable. So the 4.0 Solutions LinkedIn channel posted did a post a little over a week ago. So at the beginning of August, and the post was one of the most difficult parts of digital transformation is knowing where to start. Many people don't realize they're starting in the wrong place until after they have spent the capital and time with minimal results. Where are you currently at on your digital journey? So there's a reason that we posted that, okay? And that is we see this all the time. So if you look at so an Intellic Integration, our engineering arm, I think Intellic is right now we're actively working on, I think we're starting the 5th major enterprise implementation right now. So we have teams working on 4 major implementations. So that is global, enterprise level, digital transformation, many plants, many processes, many business units. And we're doing full global rollouts. Okay. There is a playbook for making sure that that's a successful journey for a company like that. Okay. So we have some rules here, okay, at Intellic Integration. And those rules are at Intellic, a client has to have 3 things in order for us to start their journey. Okay. So we get lots and lots of customers who reach out to us. Hey, we want you guys to help us digitally transform. I heard you did so-and-so. We looked at it. It's awesome. We want you guys to do our journey. And they'll say, we've got a proof of concept we want you guys to quote. And what we say is, whoa, hold on. Digital transformation doesn't start with your proof of concept. Okay. Your proof of concept is the 3rd or 4th step. Okay. So we'll start with the proof of concept as long as you can answer these 3 questions. All right. So number 1, what is your digital strategy? Okay. Number 2, what does your infrastructure look like? So show me your infrastructure architecture. Okay. And number 3, what is your technology? Okay. If you can't point out those 3 things, we have to start with the digital transformation maturity assessment. Okay. What is your technology is the minimum technical requirements for all of the smart things that'll be in your infrastructure. If you don't meet the minimum technical requirements, so say we wanted to tell you how much it's going to cost to integrate this production line, the first thing we have to do is define what the minimum technical requirements for a smart thing to be native in your infrastructure. So that is plug and play. That is, I take a smart thing, I plug it into my network, I point it to the infrastructure. I say, I want you to take all your data and I want you to publish to this infrastructure. That's native. Okay. What are the minimum technical requirements for that smart thing to be able to just plug and play into your infrastructure? In order for us to be able to quote how much it's going to cost to digitally transform your organization, we have to know, do you have minimum technical requirements? Here's why. There's 2 types of integrations when an organization is digitally transforming. So let's talk about what digital transformation is again, right? All across your business, you have smart things right now. And what is a smart thing? It's a thing that can connect to a network, and it can tell you things about itself. Okay, it's smart. It's aware. It's aware that it's there, and it knows things about itself. So like an industrial PC is a smart thing because it can talk on a network, and it can tell you things about the industrial PC. A PLC is a smart thing because it can plug into the network, and it can tell you things about itself. But they may or may not be native to your Industry 4.0 infrastructure, the technology that you've picked, because it may not support the protocol. It may not organize its data in the hierarchy that it needs to report in. That is the structure. So, and what is digital transformation? Basically happens in 2 huge steps. Step number 1 is becoming a smart business through connecting the smart things, collecting all the data on the smart things, storing all the events, analyzing those events for patterns, visualizing those events for informative reasons so you can make decisions, finding patterns in the data, predicting the future from past events, reporting the future, and then solving the bad future outcomes. That's becoming a smart business. And then the second step is taking that infrastructure you've created and plugging it into a digital supply chain of other people who have common minimum technical requirements and are smart businesses. So like right now we have a chemical company, flexible packaging company, and a soda water manufacturer company who all have the same common infrastructure. The chemical company sells ink to the flexible packager sells packaging to the soda water manufacturer. We can connect all 3 of them seamlessly because all three of them have the same minimum technical requirements. They're using the same common open infrastructure, and we can plug them all together so that I can share information about waste when I'm using your flexible packaging in my facility and enter in some location. I can share the environmental data, the conditions of when I'm using the chemical manufacturer's ink to print my packaging. I can share those things among one another seamlessly, plug and play, not with using millions of dollars of engineering time to connect everything together. Okay, so a customer has to have a digital strategy that they can concisely articulate in 3 sentences or less. Okay, they have to have a common digital infrastructure technology, and they have to have minimum technical requirements for their smart things. There's 2 types of integrations in a smart business. There's plug and play integrations where the smart thing I purchased using my specification meets the minimum technical requirements, and it's just plug and play. Think of it as I spec a new machine, and part of my specification for that machine are the minimum technical requirements for structuring and sharing the data to the infrastructure when I turn the switch on. Okay? Not I hire a bunch of engineers that go and install a server and then put OPC in, and then I figure out what drivers are there, and then figure out what the tag hierarchy is in the machine, and then build user-defined data types, and that costs. If you guys have seen our old videos, I draw the dollar signs on the automation stack, and I've always said, why the fuck do we do it that way? It's stupid. Why? I know why we do it that way, because the engineering company looks at it and says, well, I make money here, here, and here. Those are my revenue streams. Why would it be in my best interest to make it easier for my customer? I mean, it's the same reason that every engineering company that I've known, part of the reason I created my own company is I got sick of seeing this. Every integrator I knew was, let's say they developed a project, they did a project for $500,000 for customer A. And in that project that they did with customer A, they developed some technology they could sell over and over and over again. Some template, some solution. And what should have happened is they should take, now if it took 1,000 hours to do the first customer, it may only take 500 to do the second, but they still charge the same price to the second customer and the third customer and the fourth customer. They also do it within customers. So Moore's law says if we develop digital solutions correctly, Moore's law says that with each technological advancement, with each iteration, it should take half as long and provide twice as much, which gives you net gains, massive gains. Okay, that's where digital transformation comes in as wholly financially viable. That's where your ROI is. But I mean, go talk to the average Industry 3.0 manufacturer who started an Industry 4.0 journey, and one of the first things they'll say is it costs way more than we thought it was going to. Our customers say the exact opposite. Why are you guys charging so little compared to everybody else? Like, why is, if you look at some of the biggest wins we have, we have customers who've spent $1 million on what other people would have quoted $50 million for. $1 million over 2 years, where they would have had to spend $50. We had one customer where we did a full stack digital transformation, top to bottom, from edge all the way to the CRM. So a step above, so beyond the ERP to the CRM. Okay, their total spend to date is like $1.1 million. Before they brought us in, they were just getting their ERP quoted, and it was $500,000 just for licensing of the ERP. And we've done everything for 1.1 so far, and they are, if you look at them on the Industry 4.0 distribution, they're like, 2+ standard deviations out. They're like one of the top, in the Industry 4.0 scores. They're in the top 25 in the world. Okay, and they were originally they were all paper, right? So remember, with manufacturers, you start. Or with the smart things, you have 2 types of integrations. You have the things that meet your minimum technical requirements. They're plug and play into your infrastructure. And then you have the things that don't. It doesn't mean you can't integrate the things that don't meet the minimum technical requirements. But for costing purposes, you have to account for putting a gateway between that smart thing and your infrastructure. And that gateway is what is converting that smart thing to meet your minimum technical requirements. And remember, digital transformation happens in two lines. You have like this brownfield strategy for legacy equipment, and you have a greenfield strategy for the future. And we take the approach that of brownfield, greenfield, but the goal is to get to plug and play, fully self-aware. Okay. All right. So that's the background here. So in our post, I'll read our post again. It was one of the most difficult parts of digital transformation is knowing where to start. Many people don't realize they are starting in the wrong place until after they have spent the capital and time with minimal results. Where are you currently at on your digital journey? And Kurt Anderson, who's I know he's one of the partners at Libre. He's a pretty outspoken guy, kind of. If you guys are on the Discord server, you definitely have seen him. He can be pretty abrasive. Super smart guy. I like him. I've had a couple of great conversations with him, but he definitely is rough around the edges. Okay. So the reason I say that is just, take that with a grain, take that into consideration with his comment here. Kurt is not, I don't think he means anything by the way he's wording this. Okay. But he said, his comment was, I've never quite understood this sentiment. Why is it so hard? Find a world-class consultant like Jeff Noonan or Tim Hollingworth or Andy German to lead a design thinking workshop that identifies your operational weaknesses. Then call your CFO and get the numbers that you need to develop a net present value assessment of a 1% increase in profitability versus a do-nothing state. The highest positive NPV output is your start point. Choosing technology and creating a UNS has nothing to do with it. Okay. So let me start off by saying, Kurt, I respect Kurt a lot. He is a smart guy, and he has helped lead the development of some pretty impressive technology at Libre. He also couldn't possibly be more wrong here. I mean, just flat out wrong. So let's focus on where I think he is right. Okay. Do you need to find a world-class consultant? The answer is no. Okay, you don't. Jeff Noonan, I know, is one of Kurt's partners. So, he's recommending you get a consultant where he has a financial interest in you getting the consultant. I don't know who Tom Hollingworth or Andy German is. I do know who Jeff Noonan is, and I don't just know him from the Discord server. So, Jeff is a brilliant dude. Very, very smart guy. You do not need a consultant. You need a process. Okay. Now, you should get a consultant to implement the process, but you need a process. And that process is the digital transformation maturity assessment. Where am I? Where do I want to go? How should I get there? What are my risks? What Kurt is proposing is what, say, McKinsey does, or what Deloitte does, okay? Or what Rockwell does, or what Emerson does. Here's what they do. They come on board, somebody who ostensibly knows everything about manufacturing, and they can look at your processes, and they can look for, they could do a gap analysis, and they can look for bottlenecks, right? They can look for low-hanging fruit. And then what they do is they create a long list of use cases, potential projects. And I evaluate these all the time, okay? And then what they do is they do a ROI calculation, which is, if you do this project, we anticipate you'll save this much. If you do this project, we anticipate you'll save that much, okay? And then they sit with the board, and the board comes in and they say, okay, let's do the 3 that will give us the most profit. How much is that going to cost us? How long will it take? And let's get started, okay? All right, here's the problem with that. The problem is that digital transformation isn't a project. Okay, it is not continuous improvement. Okay, digital transformation is it's a strategy for operating your business. Okay, it's the difference between let's use the car manufacturers. Okay, right now, if I buy a Ford for 50 years, how did Ford and General Motors and Chrysler and all the other car manufacturers improve the products they made? Well, what they did was every year they did a cost analysis. They took a list of all the complaints from the customers. They went to their dealers and they said, "Hey, dealers, what are the top 10 problems we see in each car model?" They look at the complaints that came from the customers, and the product engineers take a look at that, and they come up with solutions, a list of projects, and then they calculate which ones are going to give them the biggest return, which ones are going to reduce the cost of the car by more, reduce the cost of litigation, reduce the cost of churn. That is, a customer who doesn't buy, when their lease runs up on their Ford, they don't buy another Ford. That's their churn number. They do that, and then what they do is they try to improve, and then they measure again a year later, right? That's how you see the cars get different, model year after model year. This is also why when you're everyone knows not to buy a 1996 Ford Explorer or whatever, whichever one it was that had the fucked up suspension, it would make your tires cup and all that stuff. You're not fixing the 96 problem. I mean, the manufacturer is only fixing the stuff that could get people killed so they don't get sued and have to pay wrongful death suits. Then you have this other approach, which is the Tesla approach, the Rivian approach, right? These other digital companies where they're making products that get better after you buy them. Their approach is to create an infrastructure and run our business differently. Okay? And that is, let's look for the problems. Let's build the infrastructure of our business. So that is the cars we build, the technology we use, the communication we use, the data store we use, the analytics we use to make it so that we can improve the products we've already sold, and we can collect the problems natively, digitally, analyze them, and fix them before a customer even complains. That's what Tesla does. Okay? Kurt is proposing in digital transformation, he's proposing the old way of digitally transforming. So choosing technology and writing minimum technical requirements is core to your digital strategy. I mean, Kurt says it has nothing to do with it. He's wrong. He's proposing a completely different strategy. I would love to have Kurt on the podcast. And by the way, and this is an offer to Kurt. I like Kurt. I'm not trying to bash Kurt here, but he did post something that isn't true on one of our posts. I can defend it. And I would love for him to come on here and let's have a discussion about this. Because I think if I explain to Kurt where his gaps are, or give him an opportunity to clarify gaps that I see, he'll be on board. The digital transformation doesn't start with digitization or computerization. It starts with education. Okay? I'll guarantee that Jeff Noonan, Tom Hollingworth, and Andy German are not approaching organizations on how they can teach organizations to hire, transform existing employees to employees of the future, and then hire and retain the employee of the future. What Kurt is proposing, he's saying it's easy to get started. Let's just start with a list of projects. I literally tell customers, this is literally what I say. If you don't have a digital strategy, that is, you don't have a reason why you're digitizing and it's in 3 sentences, this is why we're doing it, this is what our value differentiator is, and that doesn't come from the boardroom. If you don't have a digital strategy, you don't have a technological infrastructure, that is to ultimately get to plug and play and plug into a digital supply chain, okay? If you don't have those 2 things at an absolute minimum, don't waste your fucking money. I literally say this, and anybody on my team will be here. You are literally burning your money. You're doing nothing but creating technical debt. And by the way, our customers, the largest customers in the world, all agree with us. The vast majority of the customers we work with started out doing it exactly the way Kurt is proposing. And each of those projects, they weren't seeing iterative returns as they worked their way down that list. They weren't seeing iterative returns. Okay? You have to digitally transform on a common infrastructure. Okay? Amazon Web Services was not built from a list of projects. Okay? The Tesla ecosystem was not built from a list of projects. Okay? What they did was they created an infrastructure. Jeff Bezos' email is a strategy for how the business operates. Okay? Doing a bunch of projects is not a fucking strategy. It isn't a strategy. Digital transformation is a strategy. Okay? I would like to invite Kurt on. Let me say this. Kurt's a super smart guy. Okay, so I'm not, but he's wrong here. And by the way, there are a lot of really smart people who are wrong here. I mean, we're not getting hired by manufacturers to follow dummies. I mean, everyone we're following, hey, smart people work at Ford. Smart people work at General Motors. They happen to be fucking wrong. They happen to be wrong. Smart people worked at Kodak before Kodak shot themselves in the mouth when it came to digital cameras. Smart people worked at Corning. Smart people worked at Smith Corona. They were wrong. And then, by the way, this is easy to prove. This is easy. This is simple stuff. Taking candy from a baby. So the takeaway here is, what I'm trying to piece together here is sort of, when we talk about MES Bootcamp, when we talk about the vision system that we developed, which we haven't even named yet, when we talk about MES Bootcamp vision system, when we talk about unified namespace and this conversation about digital transformation and where do you start, our post was, one of the most difficult parts of digital transformation is knowing where to start. Many people don't realize they're starting in the wrong place until after they have spent the capital and time with minimal results. Where are you currently on your digital journey? Here's the most important thing. 9 times out of 10, even more than that, 99 times out of 100, when a client comes to us with a proof of concept they want to hire us to do, it's normally a proof of concept that came from McKinsey or Deloitte. They've already spent, whatever it is, $1 million a month or whatever I think is what you have to pay with McKinsey. They spent all that money. Okay, they got this big long list of fucking projects, and they're picking the POC just the way Kurt is saying you should do it, from the long list of, whatever your net present value highest is. Here's the problem with it. It's not worth the fucking paper it's written on. It's not, and here's how I know. Okay? Ask the typical consultant. You ask the typical integrator to put skin in the game. Okay? Hey, we're not going to pay you for your hours. What we want you to do is we want you to invest in our business. And we're going to give you a percentage of the return after 12 months. So whatever you're saying that ROI is, we'll give you a percentage of that. So you put all your own money up. You come in here. The opportunity here is for you to come into our business and do the highest net present value project. And you're going to get a percentage of the return. If there's no return, you're not going to get a dime. And let me put it this way. You're going to be really hard pressed to find an integrator who's going to do that. Now, they're going to come up with a bunch of reasons. Oh, I can't capitalize it, blah, 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 blah. No. The reason is they know all the things that go wrong when you don't have a strategy, when you have internal politics, when you have competing interests, when you don't have a single source of truth, you don't have one person with absolute control over the strategy. They're not going to put their fucking money where their mouth is. I do it all the time. That company I was telling you about that spent $1.1 million, I paid for the proof of concept myself. And the deal was we do it our way. You don't have any say. That was the deal. I do it my way. You have no say because I'm paying for it. But the deal is if you like it, you buy it, and you agree to do the rest of your facility. How much will it cost me? I have no idea. Anybody who tells you how much it's going to cost you doesn't fucking know either. But you should be prepared to spend $500,000 over the next 18 months. If you're comfortable spending $500,000 over the next 18 months, do it. And let's do this. Let's transform your entire facility, $25,000 at a time. Every 4 weeks, give or take, $25,000. We'll deliver something at the end of every 4 weeks. If you like it, we keep going. If you don't, you can kick us out at any time. When I tell integrators that that's what we did with those guys, they're like, you're crazy. What happens if they're not happy? Well, then it means I suck or they're wrong for us. That's what it means. This is, Kurt's wrong here. This is horse shit. It's just wrong, man. So come on here. Let's have a conversation. Give you a chance to walk back your comments here. But you're definitely wrong. I mean, you're just flat out wrong. And I can bring on, let's say, you could bring on, say, 10 customers who have done it that way, who are going to sing their praises. And I will Socratically, just through 10 questions, asking your customer 10 questions, I will reveal to them the gaps. But I won't tell them the gaps. I'll only ask them questions that they will ultimately reveal the gaps to themselves. Okay? Again, I don't want to pick on Kurt here. Let me as a professional, as an expert, Kurt knows what he's talking about. He does. When it comes to digital transformation and how to make it this successful, he couldn't possibly be more wrong here. If somebody emailed me or sent this to me, hey, should we do this? Fuck no, you shouldn't do this. Would I have Jeff Noonan? If I taught Jeff Noonan how to do a digital transformation maturity assessment, would I be comfortable with Jeff leading the DTMA to help a customer write their strategy, minimum technical requirements, and define the technological infrastructure? Absolutely. Jeff's a world-class dude. But doing the approach, what he's proposing here, which is digital transformation starts from a list of projects and pick the one that's got the highest ROI. If you're not doing that underneath a common digital strategy, okay, if you're not doing that based on minimum technical requirements, and if you're not doing that on a common technological infrastructure, okay, you're wasting your fucking time. You're creating technical debt. You eventually have to get to the point where your technological infrastructure is purely plug and play. Jeff Noonan knows this. Here's how I know Jeff knows this. He wouldn't have leveraged GraphQL in Libre if he didn't know this, because no one comes to the conclusion that being able to map infrastructure using something like GraphQL, that is map all the smart things, what does the infrastructure actually look like, by having the infrastructure tell you what it looks like. You don't come to the conclusion that you need that if you don't realize that you need a plug and play infrastructure. Okay, so I know Jeff knows this. He absolutely knows it for sure. Of all the people I've talked to, Jeff is, I would say he's one of the top 5 technological minds that I've ever spoken to. Okay. Elon Musk is in that same fucking list. Okay. So, I mean, to put in perspective, but doesn't mean that that approach is the right way to go. All right. Off my soapbox. A couple of things going forward. Our studio is done. So we're going to be resuming. Actually, my digital whiteboard is right there. We're going to be resuming doing whiteboard content. We'll probably have next week's podcast. So the podcast for the 16th will almost certainly be pre-recorded because I'm traveling on Monday. I might be able to get here in time to do it live, but I don't want to take a chance. But the one after that, we'll be doing live podcasts. I think Cheryl might want us to do, say, 2 pre-recorded, 2 live each month or something like that. There might be a combination where we're doing both, but we're going to get back to live so we can do the actual Q&As. I want to leave you guys with this question, okay? Do you believe that digital transformation, that getting started with digital transformation is as easy as identifying a list of projects from operational gaps and picking the one that you have calculated has the highest rate of return? Or do you believe it's deeper than that? So just answer with, 2 answers. Start with a list of projects, or start with a strategy. Okay. Put that in the comments down below. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts or whatever, please jump over to the YouTube channel and put that in the comments down below. It helps us with the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.